So I posted the final assignment, which is right here. Any questions on that? Okay. Individually. Yeah. Huh? Yeah, when you want to meet. Like, the easiest is during lab. You say, oh, I'll meet you today during lab. Or I can meet you during your office hours on, such and such a date at such and such a time. And so anytime between now and the end of the quarter. Well, you have to get me the email. You got to get me the email by the 28th, okay? That starts the process of setting up a meeting. All right. And when you come to the meeting, make sure that you have access to your source code and documents that you put together. So you'll show me, just briefly review, what you learned, what you know. All right, so the rest of today, I'm going to just continue with this reg project that we're working on. And here, this is just like user registration with login, log out, and I'm not using React. I wanted to take that out because it adds some complexity and there's so many different problems to solve at the same time. From what I can see, once you get this user registration system set up, then it's easy to add React. Well, not easy, but then it's natural to add React to it. You can convert that log in, log out, and that stuff. You could put it into the React framework, or you just leave it just using Pug and Express the way we set it up here, and use React for other parts of the system, and just have authentication handled outside of React. So there's different possibilities to different paths to head down. And I mean, typically when I do this sort of work, I will try almost every path, and just to get a feel for the differences, because I know I'm committing to a big project. Once you do something like this, you're going to build a site, content management system, or whatever you're building. It's a huge investment of time. You're going to be working on it for years, probably, or months anyway. And you don't want to make, if you commit to pass very early on in development, then you're anchored to that way. But if you do experiments and try different directions, different techniques, I usually do it in isolation. I'll make a separate application and prototype some idea and just to see how it sets up, how it works. I just do a lot of that. So I do a lot of refactoring, a lot of experimentation, and then over time, you settle on your approach, and then you sort of hit your stride, and then you start cranking out the functionality, one component after another, one feature after another, and it's kind of like a learning curve. You get some acceleration going in the beginning, and then you reach a velocity that mid-project, and then you just take that through to the end. I see a lot of people, I get the feeling that they're trying to go fast right from the very beginning, and they haven't explored foundations thoroughly enough and haven't experimented with alternatives, at that foundational level. And anyway, just giving my points of view here. Well, let me continue this. We got this system. Partially working. We start it up with the node command. Oops. What's going on? Anybody remember the problem? Anybody spot this? What's the issue? Nobody? What's the problem? How come I can't start the app? Why is it crashing?
Do you already have the app start one started?
Huh?
Do you already have like another instance of it running?
How can you, what in here provides evidence for that? Look at the feedback up here. What in there gives you a hint about what's going on? Database, DB, there's the module right there, okay. All right, so it's in the DB module. That's the module connecting to the database. What was it, Mike, what was that? Database not running, exactly. Look, you can see it, connection refused. Connecting to what? Oh, look, this, what's that? That's an IP address of what? Local host. What does local host mean? Everybody can know what that means? It's the computer I'm running the server on. So what port on the local host am I trying to connect to? 5432, that's the Postgres port, default port. Connection refused to the Postgres port on the local host. See, I mean, it's obvious, right? Well, why would the database refuse the connection? Well, database isn't running. There we go. So let's do this. Now it's running. I could see the elephant up here. If I run it again, I get silence, so that's good. And you know, I mean, we could put a little reminder in there. I think we're okay. We'll just leave it like that. All right, let's do the, check this out. Localhost port 3000. This is how far we got. We got this, so registration system working. Let me go over to this side here. I'm going to open up the JavaScript console. Favicon is not found. Not going to worry about that. So we had this create database script, drop the table users, create the table users, and insert A and B in there. We just don't drop it, rebuild it, so that's good. So this registration should fail because we already have an A in the database. So let's see that fail. Create user failed. There we go. I think what I want to do here is display this message on the home page here. So this is the home page. I'm going to just decorate the home page a little bit and display messages. All right, let's do that. So I'm going to go into views and it's index.pug. And I'm going to put a paragraph in here and just use it to render messages. Also want to put a heading in here. I'll just go H1 homepage like that. There it is. But here the let's redirect, not redirect, but let's once we get that error message, see we're sending this we're sending this to the browser directly. Instead, let's put this error message in and pass this error message to the index.pub template and then render it along with the other elements of the home page. So where do we do that? We do that in that, do we call it auth? Yeah, there we go. So here's the registration. We call create user, and then we get an error. And we just return that line directly to the browser. But really what I want, well, not really what I want, but what I'm going to do is send the user the home page, but set an error message so that it appears to the user. So that's going to be render. Remember, when you use a template to format a response, you use the render method on the response object. So we're going to render. Now we have to select the template. That's the index template. And now we're going to pass in the data. It's going to just be message. That's it. So this is the data object that's passed to the template. And I'm going to tidy this up a bit. And this is register. Otherwise, we're logged in, right? Actually, we don't need to do a redirect here. We can also do a render. We can just render. We don't need to do a redirect on that. We could just keep them. We'll just render the index page. There we go. The only issue with this is we can only, it's tricky about, nah, I'll leave it like this, I guess. That's a big deal. So this error, now when this create user, this error could be a database error, or it could be an error because the user ID or the email is already existing in the database so that the insert command fails. That's a possibility. Or it could fail because maybe the database got shut off or some other reason. So we want to distinguish between those two reasons. So create user. Think about create user. What do we want create user to do? So we're going to have it return an error if there's a database error. Otherwise, do we want to create anything? Do we want to return anything else? Think about it. We could do it like this. Maybe this is create user. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that. If I don't remember how I did this now. So we're going to create the user, and if there's an error, I'll do it like this. Let me do it like that for now, just for now. Here, what we could do is, this is where we create the user. And I think what I want to do here is we create the user, and we log them in. And we'll say hello to, you know, their username like that. Let's see if that works. And by the way, just to show you, under application cookies, there should be a session cookie in here that's, you know, that we use for log in, log out, the session cookie. I don't see it there. That means we have to configure the session cookie. Otherwise, we can't get that session object to store the user ID and so on. But we don't need that for this, so let's just test this for now. Here we register, error, try again. We're going to try B. B should fail. B should fail as well. Error, try again, but C should be good. See? Because C didn't exist in the database yet. Now, the error message is not that good because, you know, we want to say, you know, is the username and bad or, so I think what we'll do, let me see, what's the best way to do that? We could pass a second piece of information. We could do it like this. Say results. I'll call it success. Or I'll call it failed. Let me call it failed. So here we have a real error. And if we have a real error, I'm going to deal with it later. Otherwise, if we failed, if that's true, it should be else if. Else if we failed to create the user, then we're going to say username. Oh, you know what it is? We have to tell them if it's a bad username or not, so we need that information, actually. Or the problem is the email, or the problem is the username. We could say it like username or email. For now, we'll do it like this. Username or email already exists. Something like that. Let's see if that works. All right. Throw error. Duplicate key values violates the unique. Oh, I see. This is the error right here. There it is. Okay. I think we did this before, didn't we? We figured out how to do this. Let's do it like this. I'm going to edit the auth. All right, look at this create user. Get the user ID, password, and email. We try to do this insert. And if we get an error, then it could be that the uniqueness constraint on the email failed, or else the user ID is not unique either. It's already existing. So I think what we can do is look at this error. Let's look at the error. Let me look at this error. How do I find this? What does that error message look like anyway? Oh, here, there it is. It's all up in here, isn't it? So, and let me try this. So I can't read that message. All right, try it now. Okay. Oops, that didn't work. So this is, I'm going to redirect into T. Here we go. This will work. Register. Okay. All right, here's the error. And so the error looks like this. So this object has an error field, and it has a name. And let's see, this has this code here. There it is. Error.code. Watch this. It's the key already exists, right? So table users. So the error so here we have an error. What's the name of that field again? It's called code. So if the error code equals this, so I'm going to make it like that, in case it's a string and it's a number. If the error code is that, then we'll call the callback with no error here, but with false here. I would try something else now. This is, that's when this will, so if I change this, but I have a bad email, so this email equaling A is already in the database, so when I register this, I won't fail because of the primary key. I'll fail because of the unique constraint on that email. Let's see if I get a different error message. So it's key email already exists, 23505. It's the same error, isn't it? This is a key email already exists. Did I get the same thing when let me try it. Yeah, there we go. So let me try it. This time the email is good, but the user ID is bad. Let's see if I get the same number. $23,505. But see, in the detail, it tells us, this. So let's see, hint, position. All this information is what we can take out. Oh, here's the constraint, user's P key. Look at that. look at that. So we can do it like that and get it like that. So if the error code is this, and what was the other thing called? It was called constraint, users underscore p key. P key. And then here, what we'll do is, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to set the message. I'm going to send an error message. That's it. So it'll be username already exists. There we go. And so that's this error code here. Let me do it like this. If this is the error code, we'll check to see if the constraint is user's key. Otherwise, else if what's the other one? So if the constraint is, this is user's p key, so it's going to be something like email. Wait a minute. How did that come up before? I'll have to run it again. Wait a minute. Ugh, I must have saved the file. Damn. All right. Let me do it like this. I saved the file by mistake. So I'm working on, what am I working on? I'm working on the database. And we'll do it like this, it's okay. So I'm going to do this. This should be email p key. It's just email key. I'm going to guess at it, okay? I'm just going to guess at that. And I'll say email already exists. So I'm going to guess at that. Otherwise, we're going to do cb null. And for the message, I'll do error.constraint so we can get the right value. We'll try to find out what the right value is, and then I can set this to that value. So we're going to do that. That's the error code 2.3. That's if there is an error. And if this is not the error code, and let's for now we're going to throw the error, but I handle it later. And then so that's to check if there's an error. And then if there's no error, let's see, this is the code. So this is the error. This is if there is no error. So Wait a minute, I totally screwed this up. This is not right at all. All these lines got to go down there. This is not right. Sorry about that. It goes down here. This is the error message. This is the error when you just connect to the pool. So we're not going to do any research on it. We're just going to throw the error at this point. Okay. And yeah, let me do it like this. Let me do it like this. Yeah, just to get rid of the. All right, this is the database. This is just getting a connection from the pool. Like maybe we're bleeding, we're leaking connections, and we get an error for that reason. You know, our connection pool is exhausted. So that'll be thrown here. And now, here we do this query, and then we get another possible error. And this doesn't have to do with getting the connection out of the pool. This has to do with issuing that insert command. So if there's an error that gets returned here, then we're going to look at it like this. So if there's an error, we throw this error. And then we do this query. And then if there's another error, we check to see if this is the code. If that's the code, we check the constraint. That means that the username already exists. Otherwise, we check the constraint to be the other value. That means the email exists. Otherwise, we don't know. But I'm not sure about this value yet, so I want to print it out here. And this is here. And then if the code is, if the error code is something else, right here, then we're just going to, we don't know how to handle the error in that case, so I'm going to throw it. And some other weird error at that point. And then we have, that's the, how you doing? So if this is the error, and we don't find it, then we throw it. If there's no error, then we're going to call the callback function and say it was a success. So we're going to pass nothing to it. Or just pass null. Right? Null, null.
Which callback are you calling?
Huh?
Which callback are you calling?
Oh yeah, that's good. It's
It's going to give you an error if you're only passing.
oh, this isn't right. I got to call this callback.
Oh, okay.
This is the callback. And I got to call done in here too. I'm leaking connections. Hold on there. So this is the query. So after the query completes, we're not going to do any more queries. So we're just going to call done right away. That released the connection. So this is the error if we get the connection, if getting the connection fails. All right. So here's the query. And the error is going to get passed to us this way. If there is an error, we're going to look at this code. And if it's what we think it is, we're good. And if there is no error, that means we're good. So we just call a callback function with no message. I'll try that. Oof, man, that was a tough one. So here's, huh?
I've been starting to replace callbacks with asynchronous functions.
This is the error message. That's the error message. So if there's an error, we throw the error. Else, if there's an error message, then we're going to print the error message.
Doesn't it, when it throws the error you're returning, isn't that already containing the error message? Because the error is a string containing the error code and the error.
This error here?
Yeah, because you would unless you're storing that one as a boolean, your error message value there is redundant.
Wait a minute. Let me tell you what this is. Let's look at that. Ready? So here we do the query and our callback gets passed an error. It's either null or it's something.
Yeah.
If it's something, something went wrong. If it's null, which is down here, nothing went wrong.
Yeah.
So we're good on that part, right?
Oh, I see. You're assigning your own messages to it.
Okay. Yeah. Because I need to distinguish. I don't want to see this error.code.
Yeah.
I don't want to put, that's database specific number. I don't want to put that in up in the request handler. I want to keep it deeper down in the database code area.
See, I'm just saying that most of these errors, they send like an error object, and they have a message attached to them that is automatically called if you don't pass a property to it. But it's probably not a really human readable message.
Yeah, well, that's what we're looking at over here. Remember these?
Yeah. Okay, I see.
These, what is it? T, I think we did. Well, anyway, it was there's some bad error messages. And yeah, we could try to pull it right out of that error message. We could, and then we could simplify it a bit there. Let me continue with this for now. So if there is an error, we got to check the code. If it's this code, then we got to check the constraint. If it's not that code, then we don't know what's going on, so we're throwing the error because it should only be one code that the constraint has failed. And then, and if there's no error, that's down here, then we're good. So I think that's it, but we need to know this value here, so that's why I'm temporarily returning that here, okay? It has to do with the email. Let's see if this thing will run. Node main db36. It's saying there's something wrong with that. That's because there is. And yeah, I gotta call that query, right? So I better check this now. So that's inside of there. That's good, right?
It looks good.
And this one is there, and what the heck? Something's wrong. I don't have my.
You don't need that extra parentheses at the very bottom.
Yeah, I screwed it up. Wait a minute. Gotta go from the inside now. All right, so that one's good, right? So what about this one?
I think you just have an extra parentheses at the bottom of that.
Where?
The file. Where you see where we have the curly brace and then you have
right there.
I think if you just get rid of that, that should do it. Because it looks like it's calling that one up there and you don't have any other one.
No, because my indentation's off now. That can't be it.
See if it runs.
No, I'm not going to see if it runs. I can see it doesn't line up. That should be there.
Oh, I see.
So I'm missing my indentation. I'm missing something in here. I got to put something in there, or is this something too much here or something? I got to fix it. So, so this if, all right, that closes that. That closes that. That closes that. That closes that.
Else right there is
that closes that.
Wait,
that closes that.
I think you
That one right there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wasn't sure if you were putting that else in the curly brace.
Yeah, that was it. All right, so I'm going to guess that this is what it looks like. So we just fixed that. No, why is it coming up there now? Should be, oh, I forgot that. All right, that closes that, 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 and that's all we need. Is it here? All right, now we're going to try, this is the, I'm going to make this the duplicate username. Okay, that's it. So it should say username is not. Username already exists. Okay. So we're going to get a unique username now, right? That's a unique username, but the email already exists. Okay. Let's see that one. See, that's the value that I needed to find, right? That one there. So I'm going to put that back in there.
Is this in React?
No, there's no React in here.
Are you using DOM manipulation with the JavaScript?
Nope, just pure JavaScript. Okay, there it is. That's what we got to check. That one, right? And then if it's nothing else, then we got a problem. We don't know what's going on there. So I'm going to throw that baby. All right. So I don't know if it's not either of those two, then we've got a logic error in the code. So that's it right there. Let's restart, test. This should fail. User already known. This should fail. Email already exists. And this should succeed because that doesn't exist. Hello ADD. There we go. So we got it. Got it. Let's take a snapshot. And I don't need that T. I'll push that. You can see that online if you want. All right. So inside views, we've got that index. And this is what I wanted to do here. Let's get the other what's going on here? I'm going to get the other, I'm going to get the login and logout working now. So this is going to be login. And we don't need email for login. We have the user ID and password, that's normal. And then, also I want to give this a name. This will be the login submit button. This should be login. And I'm going to give this a name up here. This is going to be the register submit button. So the name is register. Like that. And then finally we're going to have a logout. And all we have is a button for logout. And that'll be logout. Now the home page is not even operating. Let's see what the home page looks like. There it is. We can register, we can log in or log out. Doesn't look very good, does it? Maybe I need to put some breaks in there. Just temporarily. So we'll log in. I cannot post a login, so we got to get login working. All right, let's do that. And let's go ahead. Let's go into auth. Register works. Yeah, now we want to get login to work. And login gets a user ID and password. Does not get an email. We'll have to get like I forgot my password. We got to implement that as well. That's also, we'll add that to this. And so this is the login. So here, when we log in, what we want to do here is get user. We're going to get the user. This is the user ID. And let's do it like this. Undo. We'll do it this way, I guess. This is get user. So this could be an error. And also the user, returns the user. So we get the user, or maybe the user doesn't exist. So user will be set to null if it's not, if the database code doesn't find a user. And, okay, let's do that. And I realize I want to fix this code up here, actually. I realized it didn't do that well. So if the user is null, if the user doesn't exist like that, if there's no user, then we're going to say failure, right? So we're going to say something like totally screwed that up. It'll be username or password incorrect. I'm going to say it differently. Incorrect username or password. I like that better. We don't want to tell them it's the username. We know it's the username, but we're not going to tell them that. Then if the user dot password does not equal the password that the user typed into the form, we give the same error message. So it's the same error message, so we might as well put it up here. We'll just put it up here as an OR condition. So or user.password does not equal to password. Let's do it like that. Then we just keep the a little simpler. If the user didn't get found, so user ID is not in there, or the password doesn't match, in either case, we're going to give the same message, incorrect username or password. Render that through the home page, and then otherwise, we're good. We're just going to say hello user ID. There we go. That's login. And you know, this code I just did up here, I think is not that good actually. So this, if we throw the error, I'm not sure what to do with this. So it could be an error. Create user. I think I'll do it like this is okay. That's a database error that's getting thrown, you know. This is get user, that's the database error. This is our error, it's not a database error. I think I'll keep it separate for now. Okay. Here, our error is indicated by setting user to null here. All right, I'll put the log out. Let's do log out. All right, so here's log out. And to log out, we don't get this. We don't need that. What do? When we log out, we just take the request object. There's a session on there. We get user ID in the session object. We're just going to delete that. We're going to remove that field. That's how you remove a field. So do we redirect or do we just render? I'll just do rendering. Let's just do logged out. We'll just say logged out as a message. Let's do that. Try it like that. And all right, let's give it a try. No error there. Nothing happening. We're going to log in. Get user's not a fun. Didn't even implement it yet. We got to implement get user. Let's do. I'm going to do it by copying. I'll try to do it by starting to copy the create user code. So it's going to be get user. It's get user, and we pass in the user ID only. And then there's a callback. We connect to the pool. If it's an error, we'll throw the error. Actually, we shouldn't be doing that. We should be passing the error to the callback function. We'll do that later. So here's the SQL. So we want to have some SQL here. It's going to look what? It's going to be something like select user ID, password, email from users where user ID equals $1. That's the SQL command. And there's only $1, so we're only passing one piece of data in there. So we got an array of just user ID. Release a connection here. And if there is an error, then we're going to throw the error, but later we're going to do something else. Yeah, I don't think I should be throwing the error here. I think I should pass it to the callback function. But I'm going to do that later. So if there's an error, we'll throw it for now. else if, oh, there's a result here. Our callback is called with a result set, right? So we did a select. Else if result dot, is it length, dot rows dot length. I'm going to do this from memory. If that's not equal to 0, then, yeah, I'll do it like this. If it equals 0. If it equals 0, that means there's no user with that user ID. So we just call the callback. It's not a database error. Pass in null for that error. We're going to pass in null for the user object. So to let them know we didn't find it. And let's do it like this. Else, if the length is 1, then we're good. Then in this this result set, we want the row 0, and we'll just return that as our user object. And then we'll have another else in there, which is we don't know what's going on, so we're just gonna, for now, we'll throw this error. Well, we'll throw an error, right? We're gonna throw so throw just throw unknown. I'll just say unknown error in get user. This should never happen, right? So according to my logic, this is basically just an assertion. We should never reach this point. Because the length, it should never exceed 1. I mean, if we do a select and, you know, where the user ID is this, it should never, you know, with this user ID is a primary key, so the results that'll never have more than 1 row. So if we have more than 1 row, then something weird is happening, right? Anyway. All right, so that goes to there, that goes to there, that goes to there. Let's get user. Let's try it. Incorrect username or password. Look at that. Incorrect username or password. So what happened? I hit login, right? It said incorrect username or password. So that came from. Huh? Incorrect username or password. So it's. So we're returning null. Where do we return null? Here. We return null only here. This is the only place we return null. So the length should be coming up 0. So maybe there's something wrong with the select.
You don't seem to have a password field or an email field, just user ID for that get user up
there. Yeah, I just want to get the user based on the user ID. That's it.
Oh wait, never mind. I'm reading that select statement wrong.
So let me go to here. So this is being done here, right? So this is turning out to be true. So that's why we print this. So somehow user is coming up null. So what's going on there? So we do get user. This is post, and I'm going to say get user. So this is the user. So do this. console.log. I'm just going to print the user. So we'll log in, and that's what the row looks like. That's all it looks like, just a string like that. I don't get it, row. Why is the row coming up like that? It's A, like that. Why would it look like that? So, let's see here.
And it's actually, it looks like it's a string as well.
Huh?
That row is a string as well.
This is get user. So this is say it again about that.
Looks like that row there is a string.
Yeah, it's sending a string. Something, I don't get it. So how do we do this before? Let's see. 2019. We did it in here somewhere. Yeah. I don't think we have time today for that. We're going to totally running out of time on it. So, but next week we'll do that. I got a minute here to get this working. How do we do this last time? If here's the login. I did it totally differently, didn't I? Oh, geez, not going to help much. Let's go to the. Let me look at here. Here's the get user, and I just sent this, right? Rows of 0. Is that what I'm doing?
Try sending just result and see what its format looks like.
CB result.rows of 0. That's what I'm sending, right? That's what I'm doing. Result.rows of 0. But it doesn't reach here. So this result.rows.length, result.rows.length, if it equals 0, result.rows.length, if it equals 0, then it's this. Where user ID is 1. Where's the mistake? User ID, password, email. Anyway, it's returning, maybe this rows.
Can you go back to your GitHub real quick?
Yeah. Why is it coming up 0 like that? Let me, let's see, I'm going to kill this. I'm going to recreate the database. You know, maybe I should dump this whole thing. When I do this select, and I do this query, and what I'll do is console.log, and I'll just dump the result. How about we could look at it like that. All right, here we go. That's a lot of debugging today, and I practiced this morning too. I don't believe it. Okay, but I took a slightly different path. Username, password incorrect. So this is what the result looks like. Row count. Son of a gun, it's row count. not length. So it should be row count, right?
I was
So
going to suggest that you should inspect that result object to see what it does.
yeah, so the result has a row count in there. If the row count is 0,
I forget your row count right there.
yeah, I got this one too. If it's 1, so, and then otherwise we have rows, right? So this is a row. This is a row of 0. That's not a very good row, is it? So it has fields here. This is row as array. What the heck? I didn't have to do this last time. So this can.
Row as array would make everything so much easier for you.
Rows as array is false.
Everything should be in array.
Why is this coming up like this now? I wonder what's going on. This is the rows.
Have you retrieved the results from these before, or just retrieved whether or not they succeeded?
So this
Because
is
from what I've seen from your
this
code,
is select, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks like you haven't used select in the.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
insert.
That's right.
So select looks like it's a little bit different.
So how do I get rows?
You'd want to pull it as an array, so you can.
How do I do that?
I'm not sure, but it looks like you could enable it as an array, and that row thing there should come as an array of A.
All right, wait a minute. Let's find this.
And arrays are so much easier to work with.
PSQ. Node.
Array is list. Row is array, I think is what it was.
Select. I'll just put everything in there. Okay. Oh. It looks something like this. What the heck?
Can you scroll up one more time? There's something that says something that Google.
Say it again?
The Google summary looked like it had the exact phrase that you were looking for. Scroll up to the top. Okay, it says every result will have a rows array right there.
Every result will have a rows array.
Looks
If
like
no rows are returned, the array will be empty. Otherwise, the array will contain one item. So it's in a rows array.
It might be a different one because when I've used Node, there's two different versions of a lot of the calls depending on like for whether it's synchronous or not, or what kind of data they return.
Yeah.
That's from 2014.
That's too old.
Yeah.
So,
Someone's figured that out by now.
How come I don't know why I didn't have to deal with this before. So this is what that result set looks like when we do the select. And it gives the field position. So there's some sort of this row. I mean, the row is just, it's an array, right?
It's an object.
And this is an array. And the array has one element in it.
Yeah, it's an object actually. When they're curly braces, they're inside of an array.
Yeah.
JavaScript refers to them as objects.
Oh, maybe this. Oh, these are the fields.
Inspect that row, that first item in the rows array, because it might just give you a summary of the data in it. Because I found that sometimes this thing won't go any deeper than
All right, let me do that. That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Than a few of those.
All right, so what do we do here? We're gonna do. So we call get the user here, right? And then
if you have it, take the
this is off. So let me go back to
have
the
a console log result dot rows. What's it? Result dot rows.
All right, let's look at rows.
Yes, 0.
Let's look at it. Oh, let's do rows of 0.
Yeah.
Let's try that. That's a good idea. Wait a minute, I'll clear this out.
Try wrap that in object.keys.
You know what? We don't have any time. We're out of time.
Rows.keys. Type in rows.
We gotta no. We gotta pause the lecture. All right, that's it for now. I'll work on this later, and we'll resume this next week. Okay, I said I'll meet you all in lab.